So you interviewed Milo, how do you pronounce his last name?
Yiannopoulos.
Yiannopoulos. The infamous alt-right, woman-hating, pro-Nazi.
I mean, yeah.
And while he's actually gay and in a interracial relationship himself.
The biggest Trump supporter on earth, yeah.
Biggest Trump supporter on earth. I think he caused an actual riot in Berkeley when he was supposed to speak there.
Yeah, and then since he's kind of been like, you never hear about him anymore.
He lost his book deal. I think he lost his position at Breitbart.
Yeah.
So you interviewed him?
I interviewed him early on. It was kind of like, I didn't necessarily define No Jumper as like a hip hop podcast at the time. I was just interviewing a lot of, weird comedian type people, different, meme type people, all kinds of shit. And, like I said, I looked up to Joe Rogan. I was looking up to, I was watching all these different people. And like, he was sort of doing the rounds. Like he did Joe Rogan and then he did mine, like the same weekend or whatever it was. And, I had just like found out about him and just been kind of interested in him because I wasn't necessarily familiar with some of the more crazy things that he had said. But, I was interested in it, and I consider myself to be on the total opposite side of the spectrum in terms of just being, liberal. Like, I voted for Hillary. I am, like a lot of the things that he says about Muslims and, feminism and stuff like that is just the kind of stuff that I don't agree with at all. But, yeah, I mean, I did the interview, and, yeah, it did come back to haunt me in a certain way just because, people don't like the idea of, like, giving a platform to somebody like that who is saying things that are so controversial. I think now, given that No Jumper's clearly gone like a rap direction, it probably wouldn't have been an interview that I necessarily would have been interested in doing. But at the time, like, I'm looking at Joe Rogan doing it, and like the fact that he was down to do my podcast too, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know. I was excited to do it at the time, and like people regard him as this Nazi and stuff, but I mean, we were like laughing about the idea that he was racist while we were doing that interview, So, I mean, a lot of people define the guy in a lot of different ways, but I mean, he did say things that I was a little like taken aback by during that interview, but I mean, I still thought it was a worthwhile conversation to have. Like, I feel like you gotta be able to interview people that are on the other side of the fence from you,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I interviewed Ayanna Jackson.
Who's that?
Who's the Tupac rape accuser.
Oh, yeah.
People absolutely hated me after that.
I remember that. And then I remember talking to you about it, and you sort of explained, like, she wasn't having a chance to tell her story anywhere else. Like, this is important content. Like, people are going to be looking at that in 10, 20 years. And
yeah, well, I mean, Tupac said his piece about what happened. It's not like he never spoke about it.
Right.
And her story wasn't that different from his. It's kind of similar. So it was, I think, most people considered her a liar because a lot of people are Tupac fans, but a certain number of people looked at it and said, we actually believe her side of the story. So it offers a degree of balance. And that's what we have to do a lot of times as journalists.
Yeah.
Is to create that balance.
And it's weird though, because sometimes you'll be interviewing somebody and like, the one thing that is bad is when you're not prepared. Or like when I did that interview with Milo, like I knew that like, he just seemed a lot like better at, I don't even want to say smarter, maybe smarter, but definitely like better at arguing his point. Or at least more rehearsed, because that's kind of always the thing that stood out to me when I was interviewing him is like, holy shit, like he came prepared with statistics and like all this shit, and you kind of feel bad if you don't like do enough of a good job
research,
sort of like representing the other side,
Yeah.
Like when he busts out some statistic about Muslims that just is like, sounds counterintuitive to me, it's like, that's a lot of pressure to sort of like represent one of the world's biggest religions just by, off the top of my head. Like I'm not necessarily prepared for that argument. But, he'll still hit me up every once in a while. Like he's not, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing now, but he'll just like hit me up and say like, hey, how you doing? Like,
so when you met Tekashi 6ix9ine, there's kind of an interesting story around that.
That was an interesting story.
Okay, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, like, so I was in New York, and I was in New York because I was doing some meetings and stuff, and I was hanging out. I was actually at Lear Cohen's house, who I've never met Lear Cohen, but I was hanging out with his son, Oz, and we were just listening to music and stuff. He played me the unreleased Young Thug and Migos mixtape that nobody's ever heard.
Yeah, Migos Thuggin'.
Migos Thuggin'. So that was pretty crazy. But then, so basically there was this dude who had posted a photo online. He had like DM'd me, and he had a photo on his account of him like finger banging a girl in a hot tub full of pints of lean. This big black dude who, they called him Slosher at the time. And he like sent me this photo, and I like couldn't believe the photo because it just looked so crazy. So I think I put it on Twitter. And then I'm opening my mail like a week later. I open up a package, and it's a fucking tote bag with a picture of him in the hot tub with the girl and all the lean on a tote bag.
Okay.
So I'm like, what the fuck? This guy like saw that I put this on Twitter and like sent me that image on a tote bag. Blew my mind. But then I'm in New York and the dude hits me up and he's like, yo, like, you know, I got these girls, they're trying to party with you, all this shit. I'm like, all right. So he comes and links up with me and he's got this kid with green hair with him. And I wasn't really even paying attention to him, but you know, we're all hanging out. And then at a certain point, the green hair kid just goes like, yo, check out my music. And he shows me his Instagram. He got like, you know, 15K, like not a lot of followers. But even at the time, like, I just kind of like saw that there was like some degree of like potential in what he was doing. Like his voice sounded kind of fire. The image was obviously kind of crazy. He had these weird videos at the time with like Street Fighter animation and like just his videos were like really over the top at the time. All these people doing drugs in it, like people doing heroin and PCP and shit, like really weird stuff. And you know, I was kind of like drawn to it a little bit, but I didn't really like. You know, he was like trying to ask me about an interview right away. Obviously, this is 6ix9ine that I'm talking about. And he didn't ask me about the interview right away, but then like he started doing all this stuff with Trippy, like, you know, because I saw some potential in him and like knowing what I know now, I might have like really tried to like show his stuff to some labels or like try to get in front of it. But then, you know, him and Trippy started working together and all of a sudden I see his shit start going up. And then I remember when I did the interview with him, he was at 60K on Instagram. And then I posted a photo of him. And the next day is at 70K. And I remember that was just like a really weird moment for me because I'm like, I'm sure that the majority of the 10,000 followers that he just got don't even know about his music yet. They just saw the photo of him and were like interested. So that kind of blew my mind, at least. And that interview was, I think, like 11 months ago that I did with him.
Okay, but he had brought 2 girls with him at one point?
Yeah, like they came through with some girls. They were like, these girls want to meet you, they want to hang out with you or whatever. It's like, you know, over a year ago. Yeah, they came through, and in retrospect, kind of a strange situation. Like, definitely not the kind of situation that I would want to put myself in now, in terms of like the sketchiness of that situation. But
so you ended up smashing the 2 girls.
You know, lady never tells. But you know, they were in the video in their underwear and stuff. So I mean, people are probably gonna assume either way. So, but that was the crazy thing. I gave him that interview. He starts like really like getting some momentum there, but he still just had the song "Poles" with Trippie Redd and like a couple other songs. Like I remember when he showed me his music. One of the videos that he showed me was like him. The chorus of the song was "I only fuck with white bitches because they suck dick." And that was like the basis of the whole song, was just saying that over and over, which really still to this day, strange sentence, especially for the chorus on a song. I only fuck with white bitches because they suck dick. I think that got deleted off YouTube. But yeah, and then like, you know, all of a sudden like his shit just kept going up, more and more. And I mean, it was just kind of mind blowing, like just seeing his shit explode. But like the thing is that, you know, I did the interview with him and then I kind of, you know, fell back. Like I wasn't like necessarily hitting him up or whatever. And then he had a fucking Montreality interview where he said like, oh, Adam 22 didn't want to see me make it. And I didn't even bother to respond or anything, but I just thought that was weird because it's like, I gave you an interview when you had 60,000 followers. Like, and I mean, he says shit about Trippie too. And it's like, Trippie did do songs with you when you had like really nothing going on. You might not like him anymore. You might not like care for me for whatever reason. Like, I think that he thinks that I've talked shit about him low key, when in reality, I've just like always pretty much either supported him or ignored whatever he was doing. Like I never have anything to say about all the beef or whatever that he gets into and shit. You know, I just kind of stay out of it. But I mean, I thought that was a crazy thing for him to say. Like, oh, he didn't want to see me win. Adam 22 didn't support me. It's like, I gave you a chance before literally anyone besides Trippie. So
yeah, I mean, this interview came out a while ago.
Yeah, it came out like over a year ago. And when you think about it, he's really been popping for like a 6-month period. And that interview came out like a year ago. Like I gave him that interview way before he was really popping. So I don't know. I don't know why he would like take that in a negative way or whatever, but.
I mean, we've done lots of interviews with people who are mad at us over a title or what other people have said or whatever else. It just is what it is. You just keep doing them. You know, people go and feel how they feel. If they want to come back, do another one, cool. If not,
that's true. Yeah,
there's always someone else in.
As a media company, at a certain point, you got to really just get disassociated from what people think of you.